Welcome back. This week's video, I'm going to share some books that I recommend, books that kind of go along with the whole American Outback thing, nonfiction, that sort of stuff. If you're enjoying the subject of these videos, I recommend you check out the blog as well and check out my books for sale on Amazon. My first recommendation is the one I'm currently rereading. I'm not sure if it's the sixth or the seventh time I've read Nomadland, but it's a great book. If you enjoyed the film Nomadland, this is the book it was based on, and honestly, I enjoyed this book a lot more than the movie Nomadland, which is kind of like the Cliff Notes version of van life. This goes into it much more extensively, and it's very well written. Richard Grant is a favorite nonfiction writer of mine. Um, This is the first book of his. I got American Nomads. It goes into, well, American nomads, different types, truckers, rodeo people. I, I can't recommend his books enough. He's written 5 books, but my favorite are his first 2. American Nomads being the first one, and this book being the second book that Richard Grant put out, God's Middle Finger. This is about him exploring the lawless Sierra Madre Mountains down in Mexico, and he had some crazy adventures down there. And it really goes into, Mexican culture. It's just a really good book. I can't recommend his books enough. These 2 are my favorite, but all 5 of them, you can't really go wrong with his books. I was on a PCT, Pacific Coast Trail kick, a few years ago. And I read a number of books, and they were pretty good, but this by far is the best one. She really nailed it. Heather Anish Anderson really nailed it. It's a really taut book, and it really makes you feel like you're there on the trail with her. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And here's a book a lot of people know about, Into the Wild, about Chris McCandless and his ill-fated journey up to Alaska. But he was just a fascinating person. Fascinating. Lived a very varied life, very adventurous life, considering he died in his early 20s. This is another really well-written book. I know it's kind of like the cliche to recommend this book, but there's a reason why so many people recommend it. And of course, I got to get this in here. My nonfiction books. The first one, The American Outback, Disappearing as a Young Man's Game, is basically about what led me to live out of a van and give up the stick and brick world. I don't have a copy of No Signal about my first year in the van here, but it's available on Amazon. The third American Outback book, Where the Fires Are, covers my first year working as a camp host. I'm now in my 3rd season. This is about the first season up in Oregon. And it goes into my returning to the stick and brick world, realizing that wasn't for me, and going back to a more nomadic life. So if you like reading nonfiction, all those books, can't go wrong with them. Check them out in a library, get a used copy, whatever. If you enjoy reading nonfiction, they're definitely worth your time and money. Until next time, thanks for being here.